Welcome to another exciting episode of Sandusky, Ohio Parkbench. I am your host, Steve Ham. I'm also a realtor with Remax Quality Realty here in Sandusky, Ohio. I'll get more into how you can contact me and be part of the Parkbench interview series after all this. But today I have a very special guest, or guest I should say. We've got Taylor and Jordan from Erie Inspection Service. And if you're in the market, obviously, to buy a home, and once you do put an offer in and stuff, part of the process is to get a home inspection done, and hopefully everything is good with that. And so that's what these two do to make sure that let you know whether or not your home is suitable for purchase, and what it might cost to fix it, to get it to that way possibly. So, but before we get into all that, just want to thank you guys for stopping by and being a part of this interview series. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, thanks a lot.
You're most welcome. So, Taylor, we start with you. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Were you born and raised? Here, and a little bit about your childhood and upbringing.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. So, again, my name is Taylor. I'm the general manager for Erie Inspection Service. So, that's a big title, I think, but right. It really just means a lot. I do a lot of different things.
Okay.
So I do a lot of marketing for the company, do a lot of back-end finance and accounting, a lot of processes, new products or services that we're doing. So that's kind of the day-to-day, but it's different every day, and that's what I enjoy about it.
So were you born and raised here in Ohio? Or?
Yeah, I was. Just like Jordan, we're brothers, if we didn't mention that already.
No, I did not know that.
Yeah,
Okay.
He's the little brother. So
but taller.
Okay. No, I did not know that. Wow, okay, that makes more sense now.
Yeah, so born in Bellevue, Ohio.
Oh, really? Okay.
Went to high school there.
Okay.
And then went to college in Cincinnati. And
Both of you?
Just myself.
Okay.
I was born in Norwalk. I grew up in Bellevue.
Okay.
And I went to school in Bowling Green.
Okay.
Yep, so I went to Bowling Green State University.
Oh, nice. Okay. Well, both college educated. That's good. So what was your childhood like growing up?
Well, I beat up Taylor a lot. That was a lot of it. No, we just grew up, and this business was started from our father.
Okay.
And he was a custom home builder. So he was a big builder. Him starting off, when I was really little, I kind of remember it was him, and he had a partner, and he was young. Just out of high school, 18, 19 years old, he was working with his partner. They went together on the business. They had H&R Construction out of Bellevue.
Okay.
And after a few years, my father bought the other guy out, and he took over. Kept the name the same. So first it was Herner and Radloff Construction, and he just kept H&R. And he kept that running for a good, probably 15 years or so.
Oh, wow.
And kind of towards the end of that run, he got into home inspections. So, that was 34 years, coming up on 35 years now.
Wow.
What happened is my uncle was a plumbing foreman from Cedar Point. And he had heard that a lot of these people from the East Coast and West Coast that were moving to the Midwest wanted home inspections. This was something that wasn't even around. Nobody was doing home inspections.
Okay. It's kind of your dad or uncle.
Yes, when you bought a house before, there was no checklist. There was no. You had somebody with you that may say, "Hey, the roof looks like it might be in Tim's life." Trying to negotiate. That's all you had.
Yeah.
But they were actually becoming the standard kind of on the West Coast and East Coast. So. And my uncle Tony, he talked to my dad, and he said, we should start taking some courses, start learning about these home inspections, and start doing these home inspections, because I think we can make some good money on the side.
Yeah.
So my father got into it, started doing it on the side, and nights and weekends, because he had a full construction business, a full bunch of guys working, and office staff, and he finally just found it profitable enough. He was tired of dealing with employees and all the headaches from the construction business.
Okay, sure.
So he sold the construction business.
Oh.
And he went into home inspections full time.
Wow.
And he was doing that. It was just him and my mom pretty much. Mom was the secretary, scheduling everything, and Dad was going out and doing the inspections. And he just said that one day he just kind of had like an epiphany. He was climbing onto a roof, stepping off of a ladder, and he thought to himself, if I fall off this ladder, my business is done.
Right.
I can't make any money.
Yeah.
He goes, I need to start training someone. I need to have some other inspectors.
Yeah.
So that's where he kind of started building on that. And, I just remember going from renting a duplex to, we bought our first house, and it was an old farmhouse. He rehabbed the whole thing. The thing was falling down. He rebuilt the whole thing while we lived in it.
I think his parents told him to run away.
Yeah. Both of my mom's parents and his parents told him, burn it. Do not buy this house. You guys are making a really bad decision. And he said, it's perfect. It's for us.
Yeah.
And we lived there while he remodeled it. And it just, the inspection business continued to start, really gain wheels, and it really helped because he had a great, reputation in this area because of being a builder. So a lot of realtors knew him, a lot of people knew him,
Right, yeah.
so they trusted him.
Yeah.
So he was kind of the go-to. There was no other inspection companies. He was the go-to guy around this area.
Cool.
He just kind of kept building it, and slowly his team of one started turning into a team of four.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I came on. So. I have an interesting past like you. I've done a lot of different things.
Okay.
I started working construction for him when I was in high school.
Okay.
So when I was 13 years old, I was sent to the construction site.
Oh.
So if I got grounded or I did something bad, I got sent to the guys. And Dad left, and so it was just me and his guys, and they told me what to do, and they bossed me around, and I pushed the broom, and I picked up the shingles, and they taught me how to frame. They taught me how to drive the Bobcat, and electrical. They taught me all kinds of stuff, and it's just that's kind of I think where a lot of my work ethic came from.
Sure, and that's actually good skills to have now.
Absolutely. And now with what I do, I never thought at that time it was just a job. It was just, but I learned how to work hard, and I saved money before I was even 16. I had a car already sitting there I bought and paid for.
Nice.
I slowly worked for him, and then when I got out of school, or I graduated high school, the thing was you got to go to college. You got to make and I was into computers, so I did a lot of interactive media. So I did web design, I did online videos, I did video editing, I did interactive media. So I went to school for that, for VCT. As I was going to school, I started kind of working on the side. I did a lot of just odd jobs to get through college, and I found myself in kitchens. So I did a lot of cooking. So I was working Buffalo Wild Wings. There's Jed's, and that just I was doing that on the side, and eventually with the computer stuff, I was probably three years in, and I just started thinking to myself, I don't know if I want to sit behind a desk and a computer for the rest of my life. And I was also hearing from a lot of people, my friends that were older than me that were graduating, having a hard time finding work at that time. So I just kind of was like, I don't know if this is for me. Maybe I want to redo, and I ended up leaving, and I said, I think I'm gonna cook. I think I'm going to culinary.
Wow.
So that was my idea. I was going to be
the next Gordon Ramsay.
Yeah, that's my favorite guy. So I had some family living in Atlanta, and I talked to my family and my cousins. They're like, why don't you move down here? There's so much opportunity for cooking. Like, come down here and you can find a job. You can do whatever you want. So I moved down to Georgia. I spent about 3 years down there, and I cooked I was kitchen manager of about 3 different bars. I worked in fine dining, and then I did 2 bars and restaurants. And again, same thing. It's like I was making decent money. But it's like, I want to buy a house. I want to be a homeowner. I got all these things that I want to do. I don't know if I'm going to make it doing this. And at that time, my father was, he was looking for new inspectors. And the whole idea, he kept, at first they talked about me being marketing and doing advertising for the company, because I did VCT, and they thought maybe that could help come back and do that. And so we kind of talked back and forth what we're going to do. I was deciding I was going to probably move back and take this position because, I just thought it was a better opportunity for me. The cost of living was lower here. So I said, I think I think it's a good route. I think I can be a homeowner. I think I can, do what I want to do. So I took the jump and moved back. And once I got back, we just kept talking and talking. And my dad's like, I really need an inspector. I need inspectors. You'd be great in marketing. You can do that on the side, but I think, you're going to make more money and you'll be a better inspector. And at that time, I didn't think, that wasn't what I thought I was going to do. And he slowly started training me. And probably about 6 months of training, I started getting out on my own. I started working this area. And then he came to me and said, we really want to build the Toledo market. We really want to build the Cleveland market. He said, where would you rather be? And I said, Cleveland. And he said, okay, well, I need you in Toledo. He said,
Of course he did.
We have a better presence in Toledo. I really need something in Toledo.
Yeah.
I said, okay.
All right,
So let me
then.
talk to my girlfriend, or
Okay.
my girlfriend at the time.
Yeah.
And she was long distance. She was living in Florida.
Oh, well.
And I said, I think I'm going to move to Toledo. You want to move to Toledo? And she was like, no.
Nope.
And so when I talked her into it somehow, she moved up there. We rented a house, and I started in the Toledo area. And we didn't have, we had a very small presence there. We had one inspector. He was in the Bowling Green area.
Okay.
And he kind of covered everything. He was doing everything. He was doing Toledo, doing Bowling Green,
Yeah.
Findlay. He was one guy. And so I jumped on with him. And he was just kind of getting older and kind of phasing out. And within probably me a year or a year and a half being there, he had retired. He was ready to retire. And I kind of just took over by myself. So I started working my hardest to meet new realtors, get myself out there, and just get our company to be known. And it really started to pay off. And we hired a couple other guys, and our team continued to grow. We got up to almost seven inspectors. And
Wow.
we continue to just keep growing across the area. And our new goal was to focus on to Cleveland. And that's kind of when Taylor came on. So Taylor's been with us, 3 years now?
It's just over 2.
Just over 2. I feel like it's been
I know,
5, 10
yeah.
years he's been with us, but
Okay.
it really hasn't been that long.
No.
But he moved into the Cleveland market
Okay.
because that's kind of where the area he wanted to be in.
Yeah.
And he's continued to kind of build that business in the Cleveland market and make ourselves. We go almost to Akron. So we go from probably Akron all the way to Indiana.
Really?
Yeah.
And into Michigan.
And into Michigan. We go up into Detroit.
Wow.
So all of our guys.
Deep territory.
Yeah,
No kidding.
for 7 guys, for 7
Right.
inspectors,
Yeah.
it's a lot of.
I didn't think you would be allowed to go out of state with that.
Yes, so, very good question.
Good question.
Okay. Licensing for home inspectors, that's another thing. When my dad started 34 years ago, there was no such thing as licensing.
Okay.
That's only came about 2019. Before
very
2019,
Wow.
anybody could show up at your house and tell you're a home inspector. And you had a lot of that. You had guys that were working full-time jobs, and on the
Yeah.
weekends they would jump and do some home inspections.
Okay.
And that's kind of where licensing came from, because we had there was a bad reputation.
But I mean, what would qualify them to say they're a home inspector?
No, nothing.
Nothing?
Clipboard.
Nothing.
Clipboard, that's it. huh?
Flashlight.
Wow.
Yes, there was no requirements. There was no licensing. There was nothing.
Okay.
And that's where the realtor board was really pushing. We agreed with that. It's
Yeah.
like we're all on the same playing field, and there's people
Yeah.
out there charging $200 for an inspection, and they're not doing anything.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of bad taste in people's mouths.
Sure.
We get that
Yeah.
a lot. A lot of clients would say, my last inspection was 30 minutes.
Yeah.
The guy didn't do anything. I had all
Yeah.
these problems. Like,
Yeah.
please help me.
Yeah.
And so, again, we were just kind of carrying on the thoroughness and the reputation my dad built.
Sure.
We've just kind of continued to keep doing that, keep pushing that. But yeah, Taylor jumping on, when Taylor came on, he really helped, I feel like tighten the screws and kind of get our business. He's really he's a business savvy guy.
Mhm.
And but my dad has always been, he's great at what he does, but he's very lenient. He's very laid back.
Okay.
And Taylor really helped us get protocols, procedures, get everything in the way that we wanted. And
Yeah. Okay.
our marketing and our advertising and stuff, we've really just, our website design,
Yeah.
we've really just kind of pushed it to the next level in the last two years since Taylor's jumped on. So
Wow,
he's
nice.
been a huge
Yeah.
benefit to us. And I am now, in the last, I would say 2 or 3 years, I've become the inspector, we call it inspector manager
Okay.
or supervisor.
Yeah.
It's because I've been, there was guys that were there before me, but most of them retired or left. So now I am the last guy standing.
Right.
So I'm coming up on 10 years. So
Nice.
I kind of manage all of our guys, because when you have
Okay.
7 guys and you're going, like you said, it's such a large area,
Yeah.
we got to have some kind of quality control.
Yeah.
Sure.
So my job is to oversee the inspection reports. I shadow the guys usually once or twice a week.
Okay.
And just kind of,
Nice.
we do training like we did this morning. We usually have a
Okay.
3-hour training every two weeks.
3 hours.
Yep.
No kidding.
Yep. We all get together and we
Wow.
watch videos and we
Okay.
talk about things and
Okay.
talk about reports. And
Okay.
we're always new stuff in the industry,
Yeah.
new technology.
Yeah. All right.
We are always trying to make us better and be
Yeah.
more beneficial to our clients and to our
Absolutely.
agents that we work with.
Yeah. Wow.
So it's a long-winded story, but
No, it's good.
that is the story of us
Okay.
and how we came on board.
You just summarized 34 years in
Yeah.
4 minutes.
Yeah, there's probably some missing pieces in there, but
That's all right.
that's the gist of it. And I think the other thing with us is, there's a lot of inspection companies now. There's a lot of competition.
Yeah.
We know that,
Okay.
especially from Toledo market where I started, there was, we call it one-man shows. A one-man show is one guy that does everything.
Yeah.
He answers the phone calls, does the scheduling, does his marketing, does the inspections.
Yeah.
He does it all, and then there's a multi-inspector firm. We are a multi-inspector firm.
Yeah.
That is when you have multiple inspectors under one umbrella going out there. And when I first started, even 9 years ago, it was very rare that there was multi-inspector firms.
Oh, yeah.
Now, even just in the Toledo market and in this area, there's multiple.
Okay.
It's almost the standard. It's kind of weird how much it's changed.
Yeah, a lot of the one-man shows, especially now the market is very tough. It's very hard to keep those guys busy.
Yeah.
But our thing with us, I think that makes us stand out is again, we're a family business.
Mm-hmm.
So we take a lot, there's a lot of, I don't know if you would say pressure on me and Taylor that we have to carry on what we started.
Plus some pride, I'm sure.
Absolutely, the pride is the hugest thing.
Yeah.
We want to continue. This was a successful business.
Yeah.
We want to make sure it's successful,
Sure.
continue to grow it. So
Sure.
we take a lot of pride in what we do, and we're always trying to, tech is always changing.
Mm-hmm.
There's something new every year. There's
Yeah.
some kind of new tool, some kind of new device.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we use drones. All of our inspectors have FAA to 107.
Okay,
So it's an unmanned pilot's license.
Yeah.
We make sure all our guys get those.
Okay.
They all have Mavic 2 drones with them.
Okay.
So in case there's something, snow on a roof, a lot of inspection companies, if there's snow or ice on a roof, they can't inspect. They're going to tell you it's not inspected. If you're lucky, they're going to say they're going to come back. Some inspectors will not. They'll charge you a fee to come back and inspect the roof once snow is off. So one thing that we can do, even though we may not be able to walk up on the roof, we can get a drone in the air. We may still be able to look at the chimney. We may be able to still see portions of that roof.
Okay.
That other guys are just going to be out.
Now, will that still provide a fairly accurate report for what people need?
Depends. It depends on what we can see. But that is something also, if we can't see it, we would offer to come back. And that's something we would not charge extra for. That's part of the inspection.
Okay.
But the drone is just, it's the things that we do a lot of commercial buildings. We do churches. We do, you get these giant bell towers or these giant chimneys and there's no way to get up to that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You got a drone, you fly right up, take 4K camera, zoom in.
Oh, yeah.
You can see what you need to see.
Absolutely.
And I think guys that aren't using those, they're just in the past. We got to move forward.
Right.
The thermal imaging is the other one that we use.
Mm-hmm.
We do infrared. We use infrared cameras. Every one of our inspectors are trained how to use an infrared camera.
Okay.
And we use those in our inspections. So there's other companies that would charge additional fees, sometimes $200 extra on top of your inspection to use a thermal imaging camera.
So what extra will a thermal imaging camera show someone?
Yeah, so what a lot of people think is a thermal imaging is X-ray, like you can see through the wall. You can't see through the wall. Okay. Shows us everything at surface temperature. All right.
Okay.
So it's only as good as the conditions you're using it and the person that's using it. You got to know what you're looking at.
Okay.
So again, we try to train. We try to get some of our guys have their level 2 training with the infrared camera. You can actually get certified. It's usually about I think maybe 5,000 to get.
Wow.
So we have 2 guys that are trained with that. But again, we take those, then we try to train everybody else how to use it.
Yeah.
But what it can do, so say cold temperature outside, warm temperature inside. If I put my hand on the wall, I can see a handprint. If there is a leak in your ceiling, so say again, our process is to start at the top of the house and work our way down.
Okay.
So we're going to run water through the plumbing. So we move our well to the first floor. We use the thermal imaging camera to scan the ceiling. If something's leaking in the ceiling, we're going to be able to see a big purple spot or a temperature differential.
Okay.
So we can say, there's a spot there.
Yeah.
And we have another tool that we call a moisture meter. Moisture meter will tell us if there's active moisture inside that material. So we can put the moisture meter on the drywall, and this will say, yep, there's 50% moisture here. Well, this is right under the toilet. This is an active leak under your toilet. We can catch it sometimes before you even see a stain in the ceiling.
Nice.
So even just a drip of water, a leaking toilet, or a leaking shower pan, we can usually find them, and it's something that somebody else may walk right underneath and not even know it's an ongoing problem.
But it's not just that, it's electrical, you can use it on HVAC.
Yes.
You guys have found animal nests?
Yes.
Like
rodents,
whacking?
rodents inside of a wall, a heat signature.
Okay.
We found electrical overheated wires. If a wire, you're glowing, 150 degrees out of your circuit, something's going on with that wiring. And that's just by scanning the infrared camera over top of it.
Wow.
I'm amazed. We have a group chat with our whole team on it.
Okay.
And they'll put some of these interesting things.
I'm sure.
It's all sorts of interesting things.
Sure.
It's sort of the entertainment for the week. But
Yeah.
I'm amazed at what you guys find with that stuff. It's cool to see.
Wow. Yeah, and it's just, It's in the business. I mean, you know as well too. In the real estate business, you're going into homes. You're looking at all these different homes every day. Every day's an adventure. It's
For me, yeah, for the first
you know?
year, especially any first year realtor, unless you're probably living in New York City or something like that, you go into these homes and usually it's like the homes are 100K or less, and there's one in particular in our area where, you actually have to sign a waiver before you walk in there because it's so could be so dangerous,
Yes.
I'm just like, this just needs to be a tear down.
But
that's
it's
not
tough.
what
But,
called me,
there's always, like someone always said, there's always a buyer.
There is.
Every house
There
has
is.
a value. And somebody,
there is, absolutely.
But that is the most important thing of our job is there's lots of things that are going on. Sometimes when we're doing an inspection, we walk into a house, the tenant's there, the dogs are going crazy, you got your client with you, the agent's with you. We have to focus on what we're looking at. We have to zone all that out. We got to tune it all out.
Right.
And we need to focus on the home and what's going on in the home. And we look at a house, the way the home inspector looks at a house is completely different than anyone else.
Exactly.
We don't look at a house like a contractor. We don't look at a house like a real estate agent. There is nothing about value of what we're doing. Is it a problem?
Right.
Is this an ongoing? Is this a safety issue? Is this a structural defect? But it can be a very stressful job for some people, a very difficult job. But at the end of the day, the goal is to help the client figure out, no house is perfect.
Right.
What are the issues inside this house? Are they manageable? Do we want to take those on? Do we want to try to negotiate? But it's our job is to kind of put that easy little checklist together so you can decide this house is for me or maybe this house is not for me.
So what brought you into working for the company then?
Yeah, I was sort of on a different track. I mean, just like you. I mean, you were working in restaurants, and so very different.
Wasn't on the radar either of us to be part of the family.
Obviously, okay. And then it usually never is when you finally kind of get your career going at some point.
I said I never worked for. I was like, I'll never work for you again. After I was done with construction, I was like, good luck. You'll never see me again. I hate those words.
Right.
But I think Jordan said too. We both were from Bellevue, went to school there, and I went off to college in Cincinnati, and I studied finance, and I minored in real estate just because I thought real estate was really interesting. And I was really interested in real estate development. In some of these cities, all the apartment buildings or the mixed use or the towers they're building. I thought that was really fascinating. But I was also really interested in the stock market and companies and how they raised capital and all that.
More like a business sense, essentially.
A little bit, yeah.
Okay.
But so I had all sorts of ideas like you do in college. I wasn't sure. But when I graduated, I had a job offer for a real estate developer in Cincinnati, which was really cool.
Yeah.
And then I also had an offer from a really big bank, and I wanted to go into real estate, but the bank was going to pay me like twice.
Okay.
And it was still super interesting and a great opportunity. So I went to work for the bank, and I started in Columbus. And the way those start, they start you usually in like an analyst program is what they call them.
All right.
And for 2 years, I just rotated around to different parts of the bank.
Okay.
And like I said, it was a big bank, so I got to do so many different things.
Yeah.
And I don't regret it at all. It was a great way to get into business, and you learn a lot in college, but you also don't learn anything.
Right.
So it was just a good place to learn.
Sure.
It was cool. It was cool. It was like getting paid to learn almost, which was really fun for me.
Yeah.
But then I moved out to Denver and I worked in their asset management business, which was really, really cool. We were working with like ultra high net worth clients. Like the minimum our accounts would have are usually 20 million.
Wow.
So you were working with the billionaires in the Rockies. And it was good and bad. But I covered Denver and Salt Lake, so I got to fly a lot to Salt Lake and work out of that office and help them build that team there.
Okay.
But from there I got a little exhausted maybe and fatigued of helping rich people make more money, to put it lightly. It just, it was really cool and it was really fun, but I just didn't, if you think about what you want to do and making a difference and helping people, it wasn't for me. I didn't see the purpose wasn't there, I guess.
Okay. The money was there though, right?
Yeah, that helped so much. But so from there I moved out to Seattle and I joined the commercial bank, and I worked with multinational corporations. Okay. And I covered the state of Oregon for them. And in Oregon and in Washington, there's a lot of Japanese clients. So I worked with a lot of Japanese clients or companies, Australian, worked with some Swiss. I had a really cool running shoe brand. So you had, it was fun, but it was again, maybe missing a little bit of the purpose.
Okay.
And at that time, I'd been helping the business a little bit remotely, just very rarely, quarterly. We'd try to get on a call. We were trying to get our ducks in a row and get rowing on a vision. What do we want to do with this thing? And the business was doing well, and kind of had the opportunity. You guys were talking about hiring someone for marketing, and it was kind of like, do we want to hire someone we don't know, or do you want to take a shot and see what you can do?
Yeah.
And so for me, it was a no-brainer. I mean, I get to work with my brother and my dad every day.
Yeah. That's cool.
And build something, and I can get behind home inspections. You grew up on the construction site, and then you grew up with your dad doing home inspection, and it's kind of it's just a cool business, and I believe in it, and I think that helps. So
that absolutely, I couldn't agree more. And I tell people about doing real estate too. If I didn't believe in selling homes and stuff, then I'd be able to tell in an instant that this wasn't for me, and I'd say, okay, I'm done. But you can kind of tell when something just isn't for you anymore.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's really the point. You have to say, okay, am I just going to look for something else, or am I just going to stick this out for because I need the income or whatever it is.
Exactly.
And to me, I think liking the job or being satisfied with what you're doing is more important than the income. At least for me.
I absolutely agree.
I mean, granted that income's nice to have, but it's just if you're dreading going to work every day, then to me that defeats the purpose. So
exactly.
Yeah.
You gotta have your head in it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like as for home inspections, it's you hear some people sometimes are there. They're not. What's a home inspection? What does it really do?
Yeah.
What is it? I got my dad knows what he's talking about. It's like listen, like I would never buy a house without a home inspection. It's not that I just know how important they are. Right. I know how valuable. Like it depends. If you have someone that really is looking out for your best interest and really is knowledgeable and experienced looking at a home, that is invaluable. There's not a price that you can put on the info you're going to pull out of that inspection.
I completely agree. I had no idea about that, until when I was talking with my manager Dale, and he stressed the importance of it. And then when I talked to you guys and had that class, and I do appreciate how vested you guys are into it, and how well you really know the business, which is important. So, which will kind of segue us into this. So, obviously, so when somebody, how does someone go about hiring you guys to inspect a property? What's the process for that?
Yeah. So, I mean, usually, you're going through, you're looking at homes.
Yes.
And once you get an offer in, you're working with a professional like yourself. You get an offer in, get it accepted. You know this better than I do, but usually you have a contingency period to an inspection period. So your offer is accepted contingent on a home inspection, but you've got 5 or 7 days to get this inspection completed.
Yeah, without not to sorry to interrupt you. Yeah. So our policy is that. At least for I've been taught is that part of the offer is that is contingent on a completed home inspection to the buyer's satisfaction. Yes. That's the whole caveat to that. Right. And then once the offer is accepted by the buyer and everything's good, then we give them 10 days to have the inspection done. Yes. If it's not done within those 10 days, then basically they've automatically waived it. Which I recommend to everyone. Always get a home inspection done regardless. Just get it done. Go on. Sorry.
No. And it's good to hear it's 10 days. I think when the market was really crazy in the past couple of years, that window got shorter and shorter because it was harder and harder. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It was harder and harder to be able to get an offer accepted with a home inspection, which is why you have to work with, there's a lot of realtors out there. And that's why you want to work with a great realtor, because they know how to write deals that allow you to get the things that you want.
Absolutely.
So it's really important. But once you get an offer accepted, you can reach out to a home inspection company like us. We try to make ourselves really accessible, and we know people work a lot of different ways. So you can call us the old-fashioned way. We've got a full-time. I know, right? It's crazy though.
It is, yeah.
People don't want to talk on the phone.
I know. I prefer text message usually.
I know, it's mind-blowing. But we have a full-time office staff, which is something again that differentiates us. Like Jordan said, single inspectors, they're hopefully doing inspections. So you're going to get a voicemail. You can call us and you're always going to have someone to talk to.
Okay.
But you reach out, give us a call, and we can typically get you scheduled within 2 or 3 days.
You can do it online as well.
Oh,
we have a great
okay.
website.
2 or 3 days. That's
Right. Yeah, I would say definitely within the 5-day window. Usually
Okay.
within 2 to 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, we have a great website. You could do everything online and send it to us, and the girls will go through it and they'll give you a call.
Okay.
And set things up.
All right.
So you can schedule online if needed.
Okay.
And you can even text us.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
So
There's a text line.
Yeah.
So once it's scheduled, then I guess, so once you guys show up to the property, what's your process from there?
Sure, that's probably for you.
So typically what we're going to do, we're going to introduce ourselves to the client. We're going to, ask them if there are any major concerns that they have. Is there anything that's been disclosed to them?
So basically, you're going to meet with the buyer at the site as well.
Absolutely. Not, and that's always different. Some inspection companies will say they don't really want the client there. They just want to send them the report and call me if you have any questions.
Yeah.
We encourage the buyer to be with us.
Okay, sure.
Again, some people think kind of what we're doing is boring. We do a lot of pictures, a lot of writing and typing. But it is to be there and actually see the things firsthand.
Yeah.
We recommend you're there. You don't always have to be there for the full inspection,
Okay.
but at some time, I think the girls usually try to say at least the last hour, come, hang out and talk.
Yeah.
But we have lots of clients that are there for the whole inspection. They're there when we show up. I would say at least 50% of our inspections are that way, maybe more.
Nice.
But typically what I would do is I'll introduce myself to the client, open the house up, get everything turned on, kind of walk around the property, get myself familiar with the property.
Yeah.
And then I always ask the client, are there any concerns?
Mm-hmm.
Girls usually on the phone are going to already field this. Is there anything about the house that you're worried about? Anything you want us to look at more? The foundation, the roof, what is there?
Yeah.
And usually people have a pretty good idea of what they're concerned about.
Sure.
And then we always ask them, is there anything disclosed? We ask for proper disclosure to be sent to us if you can.
Yeah.
Or is there anything they told you about already is a problem that needs repair?
Yeah.
So it's something we can look at a little deeper and make sure we're going to document. Hopefully we would catch something like that anyway. But it's nice to have. A lot of times nobody tells us anything, but we're going blind. But
Wow.
people aren't always honest.
Yeah.
But we always ask that, and then what we're going to do is we're going to start on the outside of the house. So we just follow the same system my father has always done. We trained everybody to do it the same way. We start exterior to interior, top to bottom. So typically roof first. We get up on the roof, walk the roof if it's easy to walk. If it's, we can get a ladder up. We usually all of us have, I'd say 16-foot ladders with us. So if we can get up on the roof and walk it safely, we will.
Okay.
If we cannot, that's when the drones come into play.
I probably use a drone myself more often than
Yes,
not.
and it is.
Only 'cause I'm scared of heights, though.
Yep, and that's the thing now with new construction, the pitches of roofs and the valleys.
They're
and stuff,
high.
It's so tough. If you're gonna go and walk every roof, it's like good luck. It's very unsafe.
Yeah.
Especially with we get lots of precipitation. You got dew and frost on the roof in the morning. So we try to be safer and smarter. Okay,
Sure.
We'll use the drones if we have to, but we're gonna check that roof out. Then we're gonna walk the exterior of the property, making any notes on lots and grounds like patios, porches, decks, exterior, sidings, windows, doors. We work our way into the garage usually, and then up into the attics. So we start in the attic, work our way through the attic. As we come out of the attic, we'll usually get that thermal imaging camera out, and then we're going to scan through the house with thermal imaging. So scanning all the ceilings, the walls, the floors, checking for any signs of ongoing leaks, that kind of stuff. Rodents, like you said, animals, any crazy stuff, electrical. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to go room to room. We're going to start usually at the top floor, the second floor, and we're going to comb our way through, checking the windows, the doors, the plumbing, the electric, and just kind of working our way. It's just kind of fine-tooth comb, making sure everything is working as intended. That is the whole thing. There's a lot of gray area when we talk about working as intended. Does it do things open, close, they turn on like they're supposed to?
Yeah.
Our main concern is always looking for any defects, and the defects are, we're not looking for a torn carpet. We're not looking for a little ding in the drywall.
Cosmetic, basically.
No, that's all cosmetic. That's if we note something like that, that's courtesy.
Okay.
That's not something a home inspector needs to note in their inspection. We're not there for cosmetic defects.
Sure.
We're there for safety defects. We're there for structural defects, mechanical defects, structural stuff, the major stuff. And we're gonna give you kind of a little checklist, and we color code it. So we try to say, a defective, something that's in red. This is something we need to call a professional in, maybe like an electrician to look at something, maybe a structural engineer if there's a concern with the foundation.
Yeah.
But then we have a list with marginal stuff. This is maintenance things like, caulking around your windows or, doing some maintenance on your air conditioner. Your air conditioner get towards the end of its life. This is something to start budgeting money for a new air conditioner. Still working, still doing its job, but you got to know down the road you're going to put a new air conditioner in. So, as we comb our way through, we make our little checklist through you. We usually finish, inside the basement, the crawl space. If there is a crawl space, we're getting in it. If we, some of them can be very tough, especially when you're a big guy like me. Yeah, very, very. You'd be amazed with some of the stuff I squeeze my way into.
Good for you.
But my job is to, I'm not going to do anything that's safe, but I'm going to give as much information. And if that means squeezing underneath a small hole to get underneath the crawl space that nobody's been in 20 years, that's my job. Okay, and make sure I can give them as much information about that crawl space as they know before they decide to buy that house. So that's kind of our system of how we work through house.
So if you don't mind, just quickly to add on, I just think of when I was buying a house a year and a half or 2 years ago, you're in this house for 15 to 30 minutes. And I'm, like my wife and I are looking at do we like the countertops?
The paint colors, the flooring.
How's the living room? Is the backyard big? Do we like the layout? These guys get to the house and they don't care about any of that. No. Doesn't matter. And like you said earlier, you're seeing it literally with a different lens on it.
Absolutely.
Anyways, I just want to mention that.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Now, I think some of the important things that people talk about, especially is like water heaters and furnaces and stuff like that. Are you able to kind of tell, if something's going to be like needing to be replaced soon or anything like that, or how's that whole thing work?
Yep. So that's a really good question. So again, the standards of practice for a home inspection in Ohio, once the state licensing came in, we had a national kind of standards of practice that we followed, but once the state law came in, now we have a state standard of practice.
Okay.
So I always say that's kind of the bare minimum. Right, so these are things like, you don't have to walk on a roof, you don't have to give the age of a roof, you don't have to give the age of an appliance. This is stuff, you don't have to do that, okay? So if your inspector is doing that, they're going above and beyond what the standards of practice are. That is something we are trying to do. We're going to try to tell you, how old is that roof? Can we get a date on the furnace? Okay, this furnace is 31 years old, right? A typical life expectancy of a furnace is 20 to 25 years.
Really?
We know that this is, that's something we're going to let our client know. The furnace is still working. Again, it's doing its job. Looks like it needs a cleaning, needs a service, but this is something we would say is beyond its life expectancy. So you have to know in the near future you're going to replace this furnace. So that's something we definitely try to do, and at least give them that in their mind, saying, hey, it's still working, but this is something we got to start budgeting money because in the next year your water heater in your furnace may go out. So. But yeah, we always are doing as much as we can to try to give you that life expectancy. And again, there's you can look it up. There's charts of life expectancy of almost any appliance, kitchen appliances, furnace, air conditioner, water heater, and we try to give them, this is what the standard is nowadays. Here's what the age is on your appliance. This is something to anticipate, going down the road.
But a good example, like on talking about a furnace or HVAC system, a lot of times they're looking for a temperature differential. So it is an actual number. Yes, the age, and we want to note all of this. But you can actually look at the temperature of the air, the intake, and then the output, and tell the difference and make sure that it's doing its job.
Where it should be, basically.
That's something also we use the thermal imaging for. So, we can easily work our way through a house, and with the thermal imaging camera, not only are we looking for leaks electrical, but we can look at a supply vent, we know that the heat's coming out. We know what the temperature of the heat's coming out of the vent. We know exactly how cool the air conditioner is running right now. We can make sure that all the baseboards, your boiler system, all the baseboards are heating up and you're getting water flow. This is something we can tell you instantly with an infrared camera that, again, unless you're, you don't have that, you're going to go around touching all the baseboards with your fingers, make sure they're hot. How else you tell someone. Or like a radiant floor heat. Like say there's radiant floor heat in someone's bathroom. So they have actually coils that are in the floor that heat the floor up. Unless you have an infrared camera, how do you know that that's working? With an infrared, you could scan it, you can see the heated coils in the floor and that they're working up and doing their job. You would never see it with your eyes.
No, that's true.
So it's little things that, again, above and beyond to tell them everything is working as intended. Or it's not.
And one other thing you talked about, the standards of practice for the state of Ohio, and that kind of being the minimum standard, and you're talking about technicals, HVAC and hot water. With electrical panels, the standard practice is that you don't have to remove the panel cover on an electrical panel. And we were just at a conference in Atlantic City, and there's a lot of home inspectors who don't remove it. And our question, we remove it, that's been always standard, but it's like, how the heck do you, without seeing inside the panel, what the heck are you looking at?
I mean, I want to tell you about the whole.
There was somebody that was teaching that class, and they said that's where all the mischief is. It's like,
I'm sure
that is where all the tinkering. You're not removing the cover. That's the big. I mean, either people are running the wrong wire sizes to breakers, and you see signs of charring or overheating that this panel lit on fire for. you're not gonna be able to see any of that if you're not removing the panel cover.
That's scary.
Yeah.
I think that's scary. I mean,
Yeah.
coming from, my maintenance background as a helicopter mechanic, that's from one of the few things I was taught is that, you gotta actually open stuff up and look inside and see what's going on. That's how an inspection is done.
Absolutely.
Not like, okay, yeah, it's secure and they're fine, but you lift the cover off the battery, you look inside, you're not gonna know if it's really bad or not.
That's
So-
right. You gotta look where the problems happen.
Right. Yeah.
That's how you find the problems.
That's almost scary to me. They don't do that.
It is not a requirement. And that's a lot of people are afraid, the safety aspect for the inspector, they're afraid, but if you're trained properly, you know how to remove an electrical panel, it's pretty easy to do.
Okay.
You know.
Now, what are some things, I guess not getting too much in depth here, but what are some things that would definitely cause you to say, yep, this home is definitely not structurally sound or something? What are major things that would stick out to you for that?
Obviously, movement in the foundation, ongoing movements. We're seeing separation, we're seeing displacement. The wall is bowed in where, maybe there's a crack that someone's been sealing over and over in time and it's still open up again and you got ongoing movement. Floor joists, broken or damaged floor joists, termite damage and floor joists are maybe the main beam of the house is eaten up by termites and it's compressing down. These are things where these are serious repairs. They're going to cost a lot of money to repair, and this is something a lot of people may have overlooked, but we're going to make sure that we catch that stuff for you.
What about the cracks you can see above, door frames and stuff like
Yeah.
that? I remember, because I went to the CE that you guys gave, about foundations, which was very informative. I do appreciate that. I learned a lot. Kind of a lot more information that I could actually absorb from that. 'Cause I was trying to write notes down, but as far as those cracks go, can you kind of give a quick, review as to what is good and what's not good, maybe?
Yeah, so we kind of discussed drywall cracks and what is an okay crack and what is a crack that we should be concerned about. We talk about drywall, straight line cracks, especially above a door or a window or something that runs like a straight seam across a vaulted ceiling or something. This is normal stuff. Okay, this is typically expansion contraction that happens, especially in our climate with a lot of up and down, hot and cold.
Sure.
We have a lot of frost and fall cycles. So that stuff happens. So if you're ever seeing that, it's not usually concerned. Curved, or we call them 90s. Something that comes out the top of a door or window and kind of does a little curve or sharpens or a wide. That crack it's not a hairline crack. That crack is wide where you can almost stick a finger. If you're getting an inch or so or bigger, this is something that's telling us there's something structural. Either it doesn't mean that it's ongoing right now, but it's sometimes something has moved in this house that is going to be something we need to look at a little deeper. That's something to always keep in mind. But a lot of times we get those straight line cracks that go just straight across, and a lot of people concerns a lot of clients, because any cracks, people know cracks are not usually good.
Right.
But that is one that not a major concern at all. It's typically going to happen with drywall. Plaster, obviously plaster is going to crack. Plaster, it's very common for plaster to crack. Does not be a big deal. But you do got to watch the ones that spider. And then the other thing when we talk about foundational walls, the horizontal cracks are the ones that you always got to watch. The ones that run the length of the wall. So this is typically right about the frost line or below the frost line. That's typically mean that we got a hydrostatic water pressure issue that's pushing on that wall. So that's something if we're seeing the horizontal crack and we're seeing signs of inward movement or displacement, that is something that's typically going to need repair. You're going to at least have to have somebody come look at it and see what they decide.
So if that's the case, what's maybe an estimated amount for repair for that, you think?
I would say, depends on the house, depends on how severe the issue is. If you're talking about, just an inward bowed wall, something with a horizontal crack, we're getting some displacement there. We need to stop the wall from moving. Okay. It's really rare that you're ever going to be able to put the wall back to where it was, but you're going to stop it where it's moving, and then obviously do the stuff on the outside like the drainage to stop it from pushing. These are typically what they'll do is there's two repairs. It's a steel I-beam reinforcement. So they put those, I think it's every 6 feet on the inside of the wall, the parts that have moved inward. They lag bolt them into the floor joists and they concrete them into the floor. I would say typically when you're talking about those, roughly, maybe the last couple of years that I've heard, I would say per beam is somewhere probably between 4,000.
Really?
I would say maybe 4,000, 5,000. You're probably going to look, if you're talking about just a small section, maybe 3 or 4 beams, you're going to be upwards, I would say, probably that $10,000, $15,000 mark, kind of my thought. And that's not that's a pretty basic, but you're stopping that foundation from, that's a serious foundation repair. It can go up from that. Now if you start talking about excavation, digging up the outside. If it's gone so bad that we can't stop it from the inside, then you're going to be a bigger ticket item because you got usually going to work on new drainage on the outside. They're going to excavate, sometimes rebuild the wall, like what I seen yesterday in one of my inspections. They had rebuilt through the walls.
So it sounds to me like that's found that either you need to try to renegotiate the sales price, or if that they don't want to budge, then it's time to move on. Maybe something else.
And that's but I've heard a lot of agents say that before. It's like, this is something where this is that's again great why you have a good agent, a good seasoned agent, because they're going to guide you through that. They're going to be if you have a good honest agent, they're going to say, hey, this is something we can work through. Let's take it back. Let's get an estimate on this, and let's see. Or if they're not going to do anything, yes, we're walking. This is. I think I'm going to advise you that this may not be the house for you, because this is a big, expensive repair that you guys shouldn't have to take on. Being the new buyers of this house. But again, that's always, every buyer is different. Everybody's concerns are different.
Yeah, no, that's true. And as an agent, we kind of have to when we talk with the client, see kind of what their mindset is, where they're going with it, and kind of find what their backgrounds are, if that's something they're willing to do. And talk about home inspection. So I had a client, or I kind of still do, at least I think I do, and they were looking at this one property, and it was bank owned, and they weren't allowed to get an inspection done on it. And these weren't like typical investors where they're used to kind of getting this kind of property, so kind of like first time home buyers in a way. And I'm just like, this isn't sitting too well with me. So I got with Dale, my manager, and he did some more research, and we just found some things that were unsettling. And so to make the long story short, basically, I emailed the client initially and said, hey, look, highly recommend you don't go into a purchase of a house without getting a home inspection done. Just, it was more of a CYA, but look, you really should. And then they were still kind of insistent because the house was cheap. I'm like, okay, and they had the cash to buy it apparently. I'm like, then I talked to the listing agent, and they just came across very, very cheesy and salesman-like. And some of the stuff they were telling me and what we found out, it just wasn't all jiving well. I'm just like, and then Dale's like, well, it's your call since you're your client. What do you want to do? I'm like, I don't feel good about it. He's like, well, then okay, draw the line in the sand. You tell him that. But I said, hey, call me. So we talked, and I said, look, I understand you got the money to buy this, but you can't get a home inspection done. You don't know what it's like inside, regardless of what the listing agent's telling you. I don't feel comfortable in representing you with this for the future purchase, so I'm gonna back away from this. And I can recommend someone else to you in that area if you want, but it's just not gonna be with me. They were a little bit surprised and shocked, but they said that they appreciated my input. I haven't stood them wrong yet, and so they decided not to go with that property and to stick with me.
Great job.
So I was pleased with that. I felt better about that. But
you slept good at night.
I did. I felt better because like I said, if it was some investor that had tons of cash, I'm like, okay, you've done this many times before, then you know what you're getting into.
They know what they're ready to eat some stuff. They know.
And this client just wasn't like that, and I didn't feel right about it. So I felt good that it ended up that way. I'm not sure where they're going with it right now, so it's still kind of in the air, but I felt good knowing that, and so I slept better. And that's just how I try to treat every client that I work with the same way. So if they have a question about something, I'll tell them, which is why I appreciate your guys' classes and information, because to me, learning more about home construction and home inspection stuff to look at, not that I'm the expert obviously, but I can at least talk intelligently about it, as well as like the title side and the finance side as well. All those tools in my toolbox, and give the client the best information to work with, and let them know, we can work with this, or no, you probably can, or let's try. If not, well then obviously this may not be the house for you, because if the seller's trying to hide something, then you probably need to go on and find something else.
Absolutely. And it's all experience, The more you do it, the more you walk through the houses, the more you take the classes, the stuff is like second nature. When you walk in, you're like, this looks like it might be a problem. And for you to be able to do that before they even put that offer in, to say, hey, this might be something that the inspector someone's in on. This is something, the furnace is looking like it's 30 years plus years old. We may need a new furnace down the road. This stuff is going to help your client so much. You're not being the inspector, but you're doing your best to provide as much information before that inspection takes place. Sometimes you can save them before you even put the offer in.
There's clients I'll ask questions about some of that. How much do you think it would cost to fix this? And I would feel bad if I didn't have at least a ballpark estimate to give them, And so when I talk, like Dale walked me through my first home inspection with him, as a realtor, and what he looks for, and I was making copious notes and stuff, and just that 1 hour with him, I learned so much, and I just review that from time to time, and then little other things add up that he talks about, and more things to deal, and there's always so much more to learn.
Oh yeah.
But I find it intriguing, and the more information I have, the better equipped any future client is what I feel I owe them. So.
Yeah, great. Dale's a great mentor.
Oh,
He's
absolutely.
such a
Yes.
great person
Yeah,
having your corner.
oh yeah, he wealth of knowledge, and I mean I think on his worst day he would know more than my best. So he's been doing it for so long.
Yeah,
so,
that's right. Yeah.
Now I know you guys. I appreciate all the info on that. That's good stuff for anyone who's in the market to buy. Now you guys have a pretty cool deal going on with your stuff. So why don't you explain that to us?
Yeah, so I think you're talking about pay at close. Correct?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, so we basically rolled out a new way for our clients to pay.
Okay.
Traditionally, it's been, of course, cash, check, and credit card.
Yeah.
So we recently rolled out a fourth way, and it's called pay at close. And we've been talking about doing this for years.
Okay.
To me, it makes a ton of sense,
Mm-hmm.
but it basically allows home buyers to, instead of paying for the inspection at time of inspection,
Mm-hmm.
it allows them to pay for their home inspection at the closing table
Okay.
and potentially roll it into their mortgage.
Okay.
So again, I keep using myself as an example, but when I was buying a house, there's a lot that goes into that. The appraisal, the home inspection,
Yep.
moving costs, you're probably gonna paint. You have all these dreams of things that you
Right.
wanna do, and then there's all sorts of other unexpected expenses.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, to be able to hold on to $500 for a home inspection, finance it potentially if that's what you want to do, for $1.50 a month or whatever it turns out to be, I think it's a great option for clients.
Sure.
I don't think it's for everybody. I think
Okay.
right now, looks like 10% of our clients are actually are using it.
Yeah.
So
Thought it'd be a bigger hit than that.
I did too. I think it's new, so
Okay.
I think it's still gaining.
Yeah,
steam.
what, 2 months maybe we've been using it?
Yeah, a month and
Okay.
a half.
Month and a
So
half.
we're still
Yeah, very
working on, getting the word out there.
Okay.
But it is being used. The experiences have been positive, and I
Yeah.
think we're excited about it.
Sure. Now you said so an average home inspection costs about $500,000 to get done, or is that pretty much like determined by the size of the house essentially? Or-
So we base our pricing on age of the house,
Okay.
and then square footage.
Okay.
But I like to say $500.
Okay.
I think that's a good number.
I would agree.
Okay.
We'll inspect smaller homes for $410.
Okay.
Or condos like 420, 450.
400 sometimes.
Yeah,
Even,
it just depends on the square footage, but condos are always going to be cheaper.
Exactly.
Smaller homes are always going to be cheaper.
But
Okay.
you're bigger, 3,000,
Yeah.
5,000, 10,000, you start getting, we could be at some of those houses for
I've done
4 or 5 hours.
7, 8 hour inspection on a 12,000 square foot house.
Yeah.
So even if it's that huge, you're showing going to charge up to 500, and that's it, or is it be more?
No, it'll be more.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So some of those, like these century-old, mansions.
Yeah.
A home inspection, something 20,000 square foot that's built in the 1800s or
Yeah.
early turn of the century. A home inspection on that could be $900,000.
Really?
That's
Yeah.
the biggest of the biggest.
Wow.
houses. I mean, you're talking, yeah.
Yeah.
You
Well.
gotta think, we're there all day. and
Yeah.
We're gonna go off-site and write a report. Some of
Okay.
these houses have 18 bathrooms. I mean,
Oh.
it's
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah.
We've been some big ones.
So those are probably bad examples. I
Well,
think,
yeah, but still, okay. I mean, yeah, with a lot of the equipment you guys have and the time you put into it, I mean, yeah, obviously, age and the square footage makes sense that it's going to cost more.
Yeah, because definitely when you start talking about like age, you go into a house that's 100 plus years old. How many modifications? How many we've redone the wiring? Maybe we've redone a little bit of it. We didn't do all of it. We got to look through all that stuff and try to make sense of it all. So it adds time.
Yeah.
But I think, broad brushstroke, the average American buying a house, I think $500 for a home inspection is a
I'd say
pretty reasonable,
500. Yeah.
reasonable price.
Definitely.
Reasonable price for a peace of mind, knowing that whether or not the house is suitable for purchase, basically.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool.
And we were talking earlier too, I think like two ends of the spectrums for home buyers. You've got your first time home buyer that has no experience, they've rented, and when the light bulb goes out, they call the maintenance guy and comes and puts a new light bulb in.
Yeah.
And then you've got at the other end of the spectrum, a gentleman I just talked to last week. He's a contractor and he does all the work himself, but he still wanted us to come and do the inspection just as a second set of eyes.
Okay, that was smart.
He's looked through it, and plus you gotta remember in the showing, he's got 15 to 30 minutes in there.
Yeah.
We've got 2 hours and all the tools.
And we've done. I've done. we've worked with like rehab companies where they have me go in before they purchase the house and inspect it and kind of bring them back a list of what they're going to get into.
Yeah.
I've also had them where, say, a rehab company hires a contracting crew, they have them do all the work, and then they have me go in once they're done, check all their work before they're finished.
Cool. So we got all that done. Very, very important stuff to know. At least we just kind of tipped the iceberg right there.
Yeah.
So what do you guys see yourself like later on in life doing? I mean, obviously, inspection is not going to be until the day you die, essentially. So, do you have other aspirations in life? Let me ask you this: what do you guys do in your downtime? You're not doing like inspection stuff. What do you prefer to do for activities?
Sure.
Mine is, I'm so busy with work. It's, it's a full-time gig. It's, just as real estate, it doesn't turn off on the weekends.
Right.
I work
you guys
all
work on weekends too?
Yeah.
No
We're
kidding.
one of the only ones, especially in
Okay.
Toledo market. Where,
Okay.
we work Saturdays and Sundays. We have inspectors available on Sundays.
Wow.
So, when I'm not doing inspections and not full-blown my work, it's family time.
Okay.
So I have a 4-month-old baby,
Okay.
Graham, and I have a 7-year-old. And I have my wife, and so I try to, my time is devoted to them when I'm not working.
Yeah.
Just trying to get out and just make memories,
Yeah. Do you travel a lot?
Oh yeah, we travel as much as we can.
Okay.
And, we have family in Florida, we have family in Atlanta, so we like to pop down there. We like going to Mexico and to the islands, we have cruises.
Okay.
So yeah, we do like to travel,
Okay.
and hopefully that is the idea. My idea is that we continue to grow this business and be profitable, and add more inspectors and add more employees and make it a great place to work, and then I can retire and enjoy my family and enjoy traveling.
Sure.
And that's the goal.
You too?
Off time I like to travel.
Hey,
It's
I'm
always
here.
fun.
Yeah.
No kids, just a golden retriever, so she keeps us busy.
Sure. Yeah.
We're always out walks.
You
And
travel a lot of
hikes.
international trips, though.
Yeah.
Okay.
I try to
More
go
than me.
once or twice a year on a bigger trip.
Okay.
But just get on the water,
Yeah.
golf. But I golfed like 3 times this year, so not much. But
Yeah.
just try to get outside and be
Sure.
active.
Yeah.
So, how about yourself?
Oh, me. Geez. What's off time for me?
Yeah, true.
I used to watch a lot of movies. I think lately it's kind of with Netflix, I guess. But I don't know. Real estate has taken up a lot more of my time than I expected it to. But I find that I'm like watching either videos to how to improve myself with that, or just learning more about the real estate business, because there's always something new to learn.
Yeah.
But we've got 2 American Bulldogs at home. I've got an 8-year-old one, and I got one that's about almost 18 months, and he's full of energy. So I try to go and walk with them and stuff, play with them.
Yeah.
Teenage stepdaughters, they're doing their own thing. So I'm pretty much at the home alone with the dogs when my wife's working. But other than that, we like to travel a lot. So we're actually heading out of town tomorrow for a trip down to Florida to see my mom.
That's right.
Yeah, so there's that. But we like to travel, take cruises once a year. So
Awesome.
usually in January, I think we go on a cruise for about a week.
Perfect time to get out of Ohio.
Yeah, right.
That's
That's kind of what she planned that way. Yeah, she's the travel planner for sure. She's really good at it. But yeah, I used to watch movies. Not so much acting anymore. This real estate takes a lot of time. Try to read books when I can and stuff. I do enjoy doing some cooking sometimes. As long as I have the recipe to do it, I'm not creative otherwise. And I guess being on social media too, promoting myself. So it's just a flurry of things that I like to do. Listen to music,
Yeah.
and I do, try to work out on a consistent basis. So basically Monday, Wednesday, and Friday would be my lifting days, and Tuesday and Thursday would be my cardio days. And
It's a
although
good balance.
I try, but my body's letting me know that as I get older, when some injuries, from the military, that I have to adjust my workouts and what I do to try to keep up with it, because there's certain things I just can't do anymore. And my back, my knees don't let me know it.
Yeah.
I can't even run anymore. It's got to a point where I can't even do that. I can't do the stair climber. The elliptical is the best thing for me for cardio, low impact. So I like that.
Biking, swimming, running is pretty tough on your body.
It is. It was horrible. I mean,
understand.
we ran so much that now my knees are so bad that I can't. Literally, if I try to run, I'm going to hurt myself.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so those days are done, which is fine. I find other ways, like proper diet, to try to keep my weight down or within where it's tolerable for me and stuff. So, but yeah, that's what I like to do. I just a variety of things, just depends.
Sure.
But I find time to kind of decompress, and usually maybe it's a good Netflix series, something like a good good spy thriller or government conspiracy thriller. Those always pique my interest. Maybe some military stuff once in a while. So
it's fun.
So what do you guys? I guess final question is, what are your thoughts for? Did you guys spend much time here in Sandusky or anything, seeing like Cedar Point and stuff like that, or no?
We just came. I think in September we did a Halloween weekend trip. We stayed at Castaway Bay for a couple nights and enjoyed the park for 2 nights. We got the passes and went to the haunted houses and stuff. So we like Sandusky. Again, our family is in Bellevue, so even though I live in West Toledo, I live in it's the West Toledo address, but it's really Holland area.
Okay.
So we're about an hour away from everybody, so we do frequent this area quite a bit.
Okay, good.
So yeah, we do.
Yeah, I mean, we grew up in Bellevue, and Sandusky was kind of the city next to us.
Yeah.
And our uncle actually was an architect at Cedar Point, so we spent a ton of time there. And our dad had his boat docked in Battery Park.
Okay, yeah.
So we spent a lot of time there too, and downtown, and we still do.
On the lake a lot,
Downtown's gone through a huge improvement.
It really
It's
has.
amazing,
isn't it? Though?
It's so amazing.
Yeah, I talk about almost everyone that's comes in for the interview. About Jackson Street Pier, how much they've changed it, and just the businesses downtown. It's a fun place to go. Enjoy and hang out, just have a good time.
Completely. I think between Cleveland and Toledo on Lake Erie, once you got in Sandusky, I just think it's a cool city. They've got the downtown gateway to the islands with the jet.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of opportunity there.
Obviously,
it's cool.
Yeah.
I've called it many times the small city with large city amenities.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Nestled right in between Toledo and Cleveland. If you want to go for big sporting events, you got Cleveland. If you want to go do that. Toledo's got its own things over there that you can do, with the mud hens and stuff. But,
exactly.
You can pretty much do anything here you want to and get anywhere within 10 or 15 minutes. Even on bad traffic days, it's not hard. But
agreed.
Yeah.
And 250, Main Street, with all the restaurants and businesses. I mean, and it's still growing.
It is.
I mean, it's like wow. I'm coming from St. Pete, Florida. I mean, huge city where you probably never see the same person twice. Here, it's just everyone knows everyone, but everyone's friendly.
Yeah.
And it's just a very supporting community, so I enjoy it.
Yeah. It's a great city.
It is.
So, I guess, Jordan, start with you. How do you want to be remembered in your life once you've gone, I guess?
That's a good question. Hopefully that I, hard worker, good work ethic, again, took pride in my work.
Mm-hmm.
And remembered for always trying to help people. I mean, that's why I love this job.
Yeah.
Because I feel at the end of the day, sometimes we're the bad guy, everybody wants to be bad at us, but at the end of the day, I'm doing my best to protect the client I work for and make sure that the house is safe and they know what they're about to buy.
Right.
I don't ever want to make a problem that's not a problem. I want to make sure if it's a problem that we know about it.
Right.
But that's what I hope I'm remembered for, is that I really, people that I met for, I was kind-hearted. I always tried to be helpful and, invested in my business and the people that work for me and made a good place to work and somewhere they enjoyed and somewhere they can make money and live off of the wage that we provided for them.
Okay.
Absolutely.
You?
That's a very that's a great question and a very big question, a hard one to answer.
Yeah, it can be.
I just want to do my best.
Yeah.
I think if you can do your best even 80% of the time, I'm going to be happy with that.
Yeah, sure.
Just give it my all.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I mean, sometimes I feel like it's tough to do.
Yeah.
But then that's when I kind of dig in harder and force myself, like, well, if your name's on this thing, then you want the product to be as much quality as you can, because the reputation's at stake. And in our businesses, real estate, home inspection, anything like that, your reputation, is key.
Yes.
And as much as you try to make a good one, one little thing, can tarnish it, and all of a sudden you're trying to rebuilding twice as hard to get back to where it was before because of one little mistake maybe or something.
Definitely.
So, but I agree with you on that. So, well, I won't go any more than that. So what I like to do is, I'll show this here as well. But so how can people get a hold of you? What's the website address?
So our website is just erieinspect.com.
Okay.
Pretty short, and we spent a lot of time on our website in the last year or so, like you were saying. So hopefully it's pretty easy to use. You can book an inspection. There's an FAQ on there. We have blogs also.
Okay.
You can look us up on Google. We have Google My Business. We have 3 different ones. We have one for
Right.
Sandusky, one for Toledo,
Okay.
and one for Cleveland.
Okay.
We have over 1,500 5-star reviews.
Oh, wow.
So we take a lot of pride in
Yeah,
the
that's
reviews
awesome.
that we get. The
Yeah.
people, because most time when people respond, they don't respond to the good stuff. They give you negative reviews.
Right,
So
yeah.
if you're getting positive reviews,
That's
you
good.
gotta
That's true.
Yeah.
be proud of those.
That's
You
true.
know, so you can look us up on Google if you want to do more research. And we do. We highly recommend if you're going to hire a home inspection company, don't just use us because Steve says so.
Right.
Do your homework. Go
Right,
online
yeah, absolutely.
and look us up and read reviews and
Yeah.
learn about the business before you hire them, because there's a lot of competition. You want to make sure you know who you're hiring.
I'm just going to present the folder they brought in. So this is them, Erie Inspection Service. I haven't actually, honestly, I haven't personally used them yet, but I do offer them as an option to all my buyer clients that come through. I have a list on my phone of 5 different companies. They are on it, and that's what I text everyone if they're in the market or when they're thinking about making an offer afterward. And I do recommend them though, because I know how great they are, what they can do, and I think that their deal about paying at closing or part of the closing incorporated into the loan is a great tool. I mean, to help people, especially the young new home buyers that may not have a lot to work with. So that's also is a great option. So. But, well, Taylor and Jordan, thank you very much for stopping by.
Thanks
I
for
greatly
having us.
appreciate it.
Great
Great
talking to you.
information. Yeah, you as well.
Thank you.
I'm definitely going to continue working with you guys and learning some more, because I always want to expand my knowledge, and it's cool. So I'm sure it'll be hopefully a great partnership for years to come.
Yep.
So yeah, that's Erie Inspection Service. So I hope you got some good information off of that for all your potential home buyers. As I mentioned previously, anytime that I work with a home buyer and they're thinking about making an offer, I do highly recommend getting a home inspection done. Usually, after you sign the offers, within 10 days, you should get it done. But you have to get a peace of mind, and obviously, if the homeowner doesn't want to do one or gives you a hard time, then maybe it's not a home for you to purchase. So keep that in mind. As far as the park bench stuff goes, so like I mentioned, to be part of this interview series, I guess, you can go to parkbench.com/Sandusky, and I interview small, cool, and amazing local business owners, not just in Sandusky, but in surrounding areas as well, industry professionals, community leaders, interesting people, and interview them, and nonprofits as well. Let me include that in there. So if you're a nonprofit, I'd love to interview as well. And interview, and I put it on the site for free. And then it goes up on my main Facebook page, my real estate Facebook page, and there's 3 Sandusky Facebook groups that I'm a part of, and I put it on there as well. And I promote it to the best I can, so everyone knows about the company. And then in return, I just ask that either if you have real estate questions, you can feel free to ask me, or if you're a buyer or seller and you need an agent to help you with that, just to refer any business my way that you can. That would be really greatly appreciated. Try to treat everyone professionally and with courtesy and honesty, and that's just where I come from. So whenever I meet up with someone, it's I interview them, they interview me, and if we work together, great. And hopefully, we can build a good connection. And I like building relationships. That's what I'm all about, and that's what I try to do with these interviews: is let the community know about other people, a little more on the human side of things, and then get businesses promoted and just get to know people. So I am heavily invested in the community. The other thing I've done, which kind of new, I also attended a Erie County Builders Association meeting a few weeks ago, and become part of that. And there may be some cool things upcoming with that I can announce maybe once it's official. But I thought that was a good way to get into the builders community, but just to meet other people and learn about all that kind of stuff. So I think that's important. So among other things that I'm also working on, which I'll probably talk about once I know that they're official and come up later. So other than that, that's all I got. So feel free to contact me, steven.ham@remax.net, or my website, www.steven-ham.remax.com is also the website to look for any properties that you might interested in buying potentially. Not my listings yet, but there are properties out there for sale. So happy looking, happy searching. Other than that, until next time, thanks for joining us, and wait for the next exciting installment of a Park Bench interview series. Take care, and keep a positive mindset, and always keep reaching for those goals. Talk to you soon.